Panko are super crispy Japanese-style breadcrumbs. They're a fail-proof ingredient in any crispy cutlet, including my pork katsu with sesame slaw and Japanese barbecue sauce. I'm Chef Heidi Fink, and that's what we're cooking on the coast. Why eat plain pork when you can have it coated in golden, crunchy goodness? That's exactly what we're making today with my budget-friendly and family-friendly pork katsu cutlets with Japanese slaw and Japanese barbecue sauce. Let's get started. So first we're gonna make the barbecue sauce because that has to simmer for about 20 minutes. You can also make this up to a week ahead of time. So we're gonna start with a base of ketchup actually. 3/4 of a cup of ketchup, any brand that you like. Make sure you get every last bit out of there. You don't hate it on cooking shows where they leave half of it in the bowl. Drives me crazy. Then we need 1/4 cup of Lee & Perrins, otherwise known as Worcestershire sauce. And I know people struggle to pronounce that. Just remember to drop most of the letters. And then 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And then we have approximately 1/4 cup each of white sugar and brown sugar. Like with many barbecue sauces, it's pretty sweet. And then to round it off, we need, of course I got ketchup on myself. To round it off, we need 3/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder and 3/4 of a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. So this is gonna be sweet and salty with a delicious twist. And honestly, I would say that homemade katsu sauce, or tonkatsu as it's known, is much better than any store-bought. So we're gonna bring that up to a simmer. And we're gonna stir it, we're gonna make sure it's nice and smooth. And then it needs to simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I just really wanna stir it a lot in the first minute or two, just to make sure to distribute that garlic powder so you don't have chunks in there. Then the next thing we're gonna work on is the slaw. And oh, I should mention actually, I have some rice cooking. So I always like to start the rice early because it's always nice after the rice is finished cooking to let it sit for about 15 or 20 minutes before you try to serve it. Otherwise, if you try to serve it too early, it gets like mushy. So to have fluffy rice, cook it early. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn this down a bit so it doesn't aggressively boil. We're gonna simmer that for, like I said, 15-ish minutes. Now, we are gonna work on the dressing for the Japanese slaw. So this is a base of like a ginger soy base. It isn't very oily, it's very light. So we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of white sugar, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Okay, so now we need some canola oil. So we have about 3 tablespoons of canola oil. And we have about 1/3 of a cup of rice vinegar. And I just want to call attention to the fact that when you use rice vinegar, make sure you get unseasoned. A lot of rice vinegars, they sell it, it says perfect for sushi and salads on it, something like that, but that means it has salt and sugar in the rice vinegar, and that will throw off the balance of your recipe. So unseasoned rice vinegar. And then finally, we need 2 teaspoons of toasted sesame oil. Got to find my other teaspoons, here we go. And a little pinch of salt. Oh yeah, and then I can't forget the ginger. I almost forgot the ginger. Okay, 2 teaspoons of toasted sesame oil. Now, as soon as I open this bottle, I can just smell the fragrance of that toasted sesame is amazing, and it just sends this dressing over the top. And then finally, some fresh ginger. So I always like to grate, I have it peeled as you can see, I always like to grate it on one of these little microplane rasps, or you can just, or you can get, like there's a special ginger grater you can get, or you can also just mince it really finely. One of the reasons I like to grate it up like this is so then it's very finely pureed and it mixes perfectly with the dressing. Okay, that looks about right. And then we'll just give that a whisk. I'm gonna use my little whisk for this so I don't splash it everywhere. So this is a non-emulsified dressing. So it's like I said, it's very light, refreshing. It's not heavy and oily. It's got that toasted sesame flavor, the soy flavor, the ginger. And we're gonna put that on a slaw. Put that there, oh gosh. Okay, so I have some, My whisk is having a mind of its own. Okay, so I have finely sliced cabbage, and I'm gonna talk to you about how you can get it that fine. So it's a mix of purple and green cabbage. I've also got some grated carrot. So this is about half a cabbage, 1 large carrot, and 3 green onions. These were very large green onions, so it might be a bit more than we need. So maybe I'll save some for garnish. So it looks like my rice is ready, so I'm just gonna take it off the heat. There we go. Now, I just wanna give you a quick tip on how to cut cabbage. So you wanna always cut it in half first, then into quarters. Then you're gonna lay it on the side and cut the core out. And then you have something that you can work with. But how I got this so fine is I used a mandolin. But a lot of people don't have a mandolin. That's like that kind of scary French like slicing implement. So what I do, if you want to cut it by hand, this is what you do. You're going to peel off just a few outer layers like this. You're going to smash it so it's flat, and this gives you like a steady surface area. Then you're going to take your knife and just slice it super thin, or as thinly as you can. This is my favorite part about being a chef, actually, is having like pretty good knife skills. It does make things go a lot quicker. You know when you see recipes and it's like, oh, this only takes 20 minutes to make, but that's you know, professional chef talking. We're annoying. Okay, here we go. We're gonna slice this up. So I just wanted to show you an alternate way of getting it sliced really thinly, because sometimes when you have a big piece of cabbage and you're trying to get thin slices, when you're rocking your knife up so high, it doesn't cut properly. So there we go. So I'm gonna set all this aside. Okay, so we have all of the components ready. Let's just check our barbecue sauce. Obviously, I'm gonna let this cook a little bit longer, but we've got our rice ready. We have our barbecue sauce almost ready. We have our dressing and our slaw. So the next thing we have to do is get our pork cutlets ready. So we'll do that when we come back, but first we're on the road.
Cooking on the Road is brought to you by Whisk Victoria, the small but mighty kitchen gadget store for every home chef.
I'm here in beautiful Arrington at Louis Pastures with Tamara, the owner and founder, and she's going to tell us all about it. Thanks so much for having us.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely. So where is this? Where are we right now?
We're in Arrington on my property where we make our pork crisps. About 7.5 years ago, I was a vegetarian and I started having some health problems and started paleo, and it changed my life.
You got healthy again?
Within 2 weeks,
wow,
I had healed an ulcer that I was struggling with. Yes. And I decided to try keto, where you're burning fat for fuel rather than carbohydrates.
Right, okay.
And it blew my mind even further.
Okay.
But I missed chips. You remember those bacon puffs? When we were teenagers, that's how my sister and I would cure our hangovers, eat these greasy, terrible bacon puffs. But I was still struggling with where that meat was coming from.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, maybe we should make our own. And we learned how to make them, went to our local butcher shop, bought a bunch of pork skin, and when we threw the little dehydrated chips in the pot, these things popped out of the oil, and we screamed and yelled, called our parents. They were delicious.
You've gone from that small pot in the kitchen to this facility here, and you said this used to be your father's welding shop.
Yes, this was my parents' property, and he made a commercial kitchen for us.
That's amazing.
And gradually I've just taken over the whole building, kicked him completely out.
Bye, Dad.
Yep.
I would love to see the process.
Oh, awesome, let's go fry some.
Okay, awesome.
So this is what we use to fry in.
Okay.
These are the dehydrated pieces that we'll be frying up. The heat and the oil take up the space where the air would be, so that's why you get a puff.
Okay, I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, and we use lard. This lard has been rendered from the butchers in Black Creek at Gunter Brothers, so it's nice and fresh.
Okay.
And what we do, we just put that in there, set the timer. So, and then we gotta do a little stirring around.
Oh my God, they're like little popcorns.
Yeah.
Do you hand fry them by small batches like this?
Yes, this is what we do all week long.
And so how many bags a week do you do?
We're probably about 1,600 bags a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
All done by hand like this?
All like this.
Wow. Obviously, when you had full production going on, we'd all be in here with like hairnets and lashes.
Oh, absolutely.
Stuff, right?
Yeah, this is special.
Okay.
And then normally we would put them in our seasoner there.
Yeah.
But because we're only making a little
small
bit,
batch?
yeah.
Okay.
And then
this is just your classic
this
salt.
is our original. So
Okay.
in this is Himalayan pink salt, which I love.
Yeah.
We do a couple of shakes, and
oh wow, they actually look so cool. Oh my God. Those are really good.
It's like popcorn,
It
but
is like
it's
popcorn. I see you have a whole bunch of other
Yeah,
flavors
so
and
we have
products.
other flavors here. White cheddar, a dilly, which is sort of like my take on sour cream and onion, jalapeno cheddar, and a salt and vinegar. Then we have our newest member of the family, which is beef chips.
This is really good. This is such a great low-carb chip option. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. These are so yummy and so delicious. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Showing me this, and this process was so cool.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming out.
Absolutely. And if you guys are looking for an all-protein, low-carb snack, you gotta check this out. Welcome back. We're making Japanese katsu bowls, and right now we've got to work on the pork. So we have a thick cut pork loin chop that we are going to trim and flatten. But I do want to mention that you can also, many grocery stores sell a thin cutlet that you can use. But I'm going to show you how to use a bigger, thicker one if that's all you can get. So you want to just trim around the outside. You don't have to get rid of all the fat, but you want to get rid of some of it because otherwise that's not really pleasant to have in a deep fried item. Just a bit of fat left on there for flavor. All right, that's good. Okay, so now when you flatten it, I like to put it in a plastic bag. You can put it in a Ziploc bag between 2 sheets of plastic wrap, anything like that. But that way you don't have, raw pork juice flying all over everything. So then you're gonna take your meat mallet and just bash it. This is pretty fun. If someone in your life is frustrating you, you can pretend this is their head. So if you keep going, you're gonna end up with a cutlet. It's gonna be pretty big, okay? The flatter, the better, because then it cooks really quickly. If you don't wanna get it that thin, that's totally fine. I'm gonna talk about a couple different ways of cooking it. So I'll show you how I've done it. This is like a thicker, juicier cutlet. So, and then this one's quite a bit thinner. So this is how you'd make a schnitzel too. And then this is like a store-bought thin one. So you've got lots of options. By the way, you can also do this recipe with chicken. I'm leaving my gloves on for right now because the next thing I'm gonna do is bread these. So we're gonna do a standard breading station. So that is just some seasoned flour, seasoned eggs, and seasoned breadcrumbs. And for this, I'm using panko breadcrumbs. This is really important because they are very, very light and crispy. They make the crispest coating. I prefer them to almost any other breadcrumb. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cook some of these really flat ones because maybe I'll cook this one too. Thinking it through. We're just gonna cook some of everything. We're gonna do some in the air fryer and then some in the pan so you can see different ways. Normally these are deep fried. Not everyone has a deep fryer at home, so I wanna show you some different ways of cooking them. So this thicker one I'm gonna do pan fried and then into the oven. So we're gonna we're just gonna put it there. So remember to always have a dry hand and then a wet hand and then a dry hand again when you're breading. I'm gonna use these 2 little ones in the air fryer. So I have to show you what you wanna do with the crumbs if you're gonna use the air fryer. So let me just put these 2 in here. Okay, so what I wanna show you is that if you are gonna do this in the air fryer, you wanna put oil on the crumbs ahead of time. Okay, just a few tablespoons of oil. I'll lift that up over here and we'll mix it together. This is pretty important because if you put a standard breading in the air fryer without oiling it up, it's like dry and leathery. Air fryers don't actually fry, they're like a really intense convection oven. So if you want that crispy breaded coating, you need to actually pre-oil the crumbs, okay? There we go. I'm just gonna get another glove. Watch me never get it on though because my hands are oily. Let's see. Oh no, maybe that works. Oh, that works better than water. Okay, everybody pre-oil your hands when you're putting on gloves. Okay, so now I'm just going to pat this breading in. Okay, so this guy, these 2 little ones, we're gonna do it in the air fryer. So we're gonna transfer these to the oily crumbs. And I'll just do one more over here. And just so you know, you can do the breading in advance, like up to a couple of hours. and just have it ready. I often put it on a rack on a tray, so then they don't get soggy as they're sitting there. But you want to really make sure to, oh my God, see, I did it, I switched hands. Okay, make sure when you're doing this to get all the egg, get it completely coated with egg, because otherwise, this is way too big for this one. Okay, got that one. Now, we're gonna do these oily crumbs. I'm gonna bring this over here because that's really awkward reaching over. There we go. So now that you're gonna do the same thing, you're just patting the crumbs on to this piece of pork. You have to kind of be more aggressive with how you pat it on because the crumbs are oily, so they don't really want to stick to the egg as well, but you just have to be a little more aggressive. Now we're gonna cook these. So, so we're gonna turn, I got crumbs flying everywhere. So I'm gonna heat this pan up. I'm also gonna heat up my air fryer. Okay, I've got it on air fry at 400. Okay, so we're gonna preheat this pan, this oil. So we're not deep frying it, we're just gonna put enough oil in the bottom. So this is actually something that people mess up all the time with breading, is they don't use enough oil. So you're not deep frying it, you're pan frying it, but you still need like a layer of oil on the bottom, like it needs to be a 1/4 inch or something like that. And we wanna get it nice and hot. And then one of the things I always like to do when I'm cooking a lot of breading is, I know not everyone has the luxury of this, but I like to have 2 different colored tongs. So I can use one color for raw pork and one color for cooked pork. So I'm gonna use the silver for cooked pork. Okay, see if that's hot. I'm only gonna have room to put 2 in here, I think. There we go. There we go. So you don't want to crowd the pan. You want to make sure all the crumbs have a chance to touch the breading. You want it to be pretty hot, but you don't want it to be smoking. Okay? You want to get the breading nice and brown, but you don't want it to be burnt. So the air fryer is ready, so I'm just going to put them in there. So it's nicely preheated. Throw them in and close it up. And I will put that there. Okay, let's check on this one here. Let's see if the breading is browning. Okay, I'm going to turn this one over. Let's see, how's this one doing? I'm going to flip that one over. Okay, so again, always double check that there's at least still a layer of oil in the bottom of the pan. So this one's getting pretty close. I'm going to turn it down, and I'm going to put this one in the oven to finish cooking with passive cooking. It'll take probably about 5 minutes. Okay, all the meat should be done now. This one in the pan is done for sure, and I'm gonna check on the one in the oven. Look how brown and crispy. I temped it, it's definitely up to temperature. Let's go check on the one in the oven. Oh, it's looking good. Beautiful. All right, I'm gonna give that a quick temp check, but I'm feeling pretty confident. Oh yeah, okay. So we've got this one that's done from the oven, and then I'll just put that there, and let's check on the air fryer. Oh, they're looking very crispy. I will also give those a quick temp check. All right, let's check those. So see how, obviously you get slightly nicer breading directly in oil, but yep, that one's done. That one's done, yep, for sure. They're actually kind of overdone. But anyhow, we got this really nice breading on both the air fryer and the pan fried versions, and now we're gonna serve that up. I'll just put that there for right now. And now I'm gonna just mix the slaw. So I like to do that right before service so that the coleslaw doesn't get soggy. So we're gonna mix that up. I love the colors in this. So you could do whatever type of cabbage you like. I like the mix of purple and green and the carrots. Oh, so good. Smelling the sesame. All right, let's get the bowls out. So I usually serve these in, shallow bowls. And I will do some fluffy rice. You could use Japanese rice or any kind of slightly sticky rice. And then we're gonna do half slaw. It really jazzes up the plate. Okay, now we're gonna do one of each type of cutlet. I think we'll do one regular and one air fried. Move that over. And oh, first, you don't want to forget. So I put this in a squeeze bottle. because it's easier to get out in a nice layer. So you put that all over the rice, and then we're gonna put some more on the actual cutlet when the time comes. Okay, now you don't have to pre-cut it like this, but this is traditionally how it's served. It's pre-cut, and then it's fanned out over top of the rice like that. And then we'll do this one. Okay, there we go. Ooh, it looks beautiful. Okay, now we're gonna put a little bit more Katsu sauce on there. You wanna be careful to do this just before you serve it because you don't want it to get soggy. Okay, then we're gonna just sprinkle a little bit of green onion and a little bit of sesame seeds on there. But I really like that. And if you have some black sesame, that's a nice touch as well. Oh my God, look at this. Oh, the sauce smells so good. Like that Katsu sauce on the cutlets and the slaw. This is so delicious, so family friendly, and so budget friendly. And there you have it, my pork katsu bowls with tonkatsu sauce and Japanese slaw.
Pairings are brought to you by Liquor Plus. Discover the plus.
I'm really interested to know what type of beverage would pair with this Japanese-inspired katsu bowl. And with us is Shannon Ward from Liquor Plus to help us out. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So what do you got? What do you got?
I thought that it would be fun to pour something a little different today. Do a non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
So everybody is probably quite familiar with Phillips, but they do a whole range of non-alcoholic beer called Iota. So I thought that we could pour the non-alcoholic Pilsner today.
Okay. I'm actually pretty excited about this because I don't drink a ton, so I'm really stoked to try a non-alcoholic beer.
So this is definitely a growing category, non-alcoholic. Lots of people are moving more towards consuming less alcohol. So
Yeah. Cheers. Oh yeah. Oh, that's so nice.
Really flavorful.
Love it, yeah.
Yeah, I thought fried pork, lightly breaded, salty, sweet with Pilsner.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. Well,
yeah.
on that note, let's try it with the food.
Okay.
I'm gonna try a little pork here, a little bit of sauce. Oh man, so good. Oh yeah. That's so good. It just like really cuts the richness and the saltiness.
Really crisp.
Yeah, it's really crisp.
Really fresh.
I love it. So refreshing.
Yeah.
It's so beery without tasting beery. You know what I mean?
These are some of the better non-alcoholic beers out there because they're all very flavorful.
Yeah.
They've kind of perfected their recipe, and they're really popular.
Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'd love to see your take on this Japanese-inspired dish. Take a photo and tag me. I'm Chef Heidi Fink. The more you learn, the better it tastes. All right, I'm gonna eat some more because
The slaw is really good.
the slaw's so good, hey? This is one of my favorite dishes. Wow.
You have to try the other ones.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try the other one. I'm kind of eyeing up that blackberry lemon ale. It sounds right up my alley.